Sounds like me in the boat.
All right, well, it's a little after 6, but I think we're ready to get started. Let's open the working session. Citizens forum. Anything? Hearing nothing, we'll move on to reports. Board committees. Policy committee.
I think you can kind of see the results of
Yeah.
our work.
Okay.
Did you want to?
Sure, I can go over it.
Okay.
In your board packet, I have a couple updates. You should have in your file in front of you policy 401. We left out a couple things, so we updated that. That's done in red. We added the human resource person on the very bottom. That was left blank. So that's one change. And then so that'll be tabled. We don't have a policy committee meeting in July, but we'll review it in the second Thursday in August. And then we'll bring it for the first reading in August in board meeting. And then policy 722, which is a new policy, so it's not in red. We put in the personnel, the contact information, we updated that, and that's in your file in front of you as well. And I just got an update from MSBA, so there's some more legislative from the last session. So we'll start working on those legislative updates, and eventually we'll get done with that, and then we'll start moving strategically through the different policies. Any questions on any of that information?
In a general topic, in the board packet, it had the results of the policy committee's meeting, sort of the agenda that whoever was involved in that had. And that's new. Is that something you'd like us to do in terms of forestry and all that?
I don't know. Is it helpful to have it in that format?
Yeah, I didn't know who was responsible for it. I mean, it seemed fairly detailed, way more detailed than we'd get at a forestry meeting, which I'm not.
I did that because I was asked.
Okay.
So we can do that.
It helped. Well, with policies,
Policies,
there's
it's
so
hard
much.
because we have some policies that are multiple years old, and we look at the red line, what the recent legislation, well, there could have been a dozen other changes in the meanwhile that we're not seeing. And so I was asked to go back and go through them and look at the dates, so that if there were previous years where there were some changes that we did not update, that we include that in here, so that you're approving all of the changes from the current policy that we have, if that makes sense. So that's why the detail, and I think this is kind of a format might be worth using for the policy going forward.
And it lends itself well to organizing all those policies and stuff. I don't know if the forest.
Yeah, I don't think it would apply to forestry. Then I'm not worried about that. Okay.
And it
I
would
appreciate
force
it.
me
Yeah.
to look through it a little bit more ahead of the meetings, which doesn't always happen. So
We tried.
that's our goal.
I thought it was helpful.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
So my goal is to have that done before the committee, so they can look at the dates and stuff.
Okay. Anything else about policy? Moving along to school forest.
We did not. We were going to go out to actually recage white pines and whatnot in the pit forest, and ran into some snafus on the planning of the group, so we're going to have to reschedule that. But that was a physical effort, not a meeting effort, and nothing else I don't think that transpired since last. So
No, the only thing that Brandon, you just mentioned that we might want to, if we at our next meeting, we might do a walkthrough, decide what we should do with trees and stuff. And during the meantime, Corinne got some trees donated and she went out there and planted a whole bunch more out here.
Yeah, we're out of room, so
And
we
we're
need
kinda
to,
running out of room over here on
find
our
some more
site right now,
spots.
is to keep us too. So.
That answers that question. I was gonna bring up that along some of our county roads, I'm pretty sure they're white spruces that are growing. And they're gonna get mowed over, and they're actually relatively tall, so it's type of thing where if we wanted those, you could, what we'd have to do is go and dig them up.
Like how tall's tall?
Well, like that, I'd say. I don't know how many years that is in tree years or anything, but
That's a nice size.
more than just a little thing.
Yeah.
do your Gopher State before you do that.
Yeah, yeah, county would put in the one call if anybody wanted to do it.
Yep.
So, let me know if you guys they're interested in that.
We can talk to the ball field, plus we got the woody Fiala spruce as well going, so we got a lot of options.
But anyway, first school forest, our next meeting will be in July.
Okay, that's it for school forest. We'll move along to finance.
Go ahead,
Oh. Well, we reviewed May's report and look forward to having some preliminary numbers next month for year end.
I think Crystal said she was gonna make us money.
Yeah.
No.
And she said, what audit you're hoping for September or possibly earlier?
Yes, as of right now, we're scheduled for like the week of September 24th again, same as last year. If something opens up sooner, we would like it sooner, but as of right now, that's when it is.
And I guess the general takeaway, at least that I had, was that we're in good situation, at least a planned situation, which is a good place to be in. Anything else for finance? Okay,
Any
then
other comments? No.
we'll move along to the superintendent elementary principal, Jeff Nelson.
Okay, I was gonna do the end of year enrollment, but when I pulled my enrollment form, it was the May 1st one. So I've already presented on that, but July I'll bring the end of the year kind of final numbers. I'm not sure if there was any changes from May 1st, but I will get that to you. In your pile on the table here, I have strategic planning, working draft. This is what Jeff Olson and Terry Quist sent me. There's a few edits in red, and then we put in kind of a time frame for the objectives. And sometime within the next week or two, I'm going to be getting from them, what did you call it, picture quality format or document that we can send out that encapsulates all this. In July, I will kind of go through this in a more of a formal type presentation.
Just in relationship to the conversation we had at finance, it says by July 2019, implement a 5-year budget projection plan. Is that date correct, or do we need to push that out a little bit?
What does it say?
Is it gonna
July
be,
2019.
is it gonna be done in July?
Oh, is that just our financial planning model that we're using?
Yes.
Right,
Yes,
okay.
I'll have one done.
I just wanted to make sure that we weren't pushing that too quickly.
Yep.
I'll have one done.
Yep,
Okay.
I did meet with, cabinet supervisor committee and went through this, so she assured me she'd have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted
We
to
have, I
make
mean,
sure.
we have like, you know, like the first couple of years basically
Right,
done.
yeah.
So
I
then it's
just-
just kind of looking at the next 3 years.
We
to
just
see
don't
where
wanna
we're-
miss the first,
No.
the first thing
Well,
that's due.
yeah.
So you can look through it, and if you have questions, if you can send me questions or things you want me to address before, the July meeting, I can kind of plan a 5-minute quick presentation on the process and how we got to this.
Did you say that I remember them talking about more individual activities and, is that,
This is the, and I will present on the board, on the governance model that NSBA uses. This is the higher level objectives, and underneath this is where I develop committees and we do more specific program things. That is gonna be in development over this year and
Okay.
into next year, so. It's a process to get through. Some stuff we've started, and even some of the stuff that I have, like a July 2023, we're already starting some of the preliminary stuff. So that's just kind of down the road. It's kind of a little red flag saying we need to be ready to complete that by that date as best we can. And I plan on doing yearly reports on this, and we can revise and change it as we go if we need to. Any questions on the working draft? July calendar is in your file somewhere. July's pretty quiet. We do not have a policy meeting, committee meeting set for July. July 8th, School Forest Committee, we have our school board meeting on the 22nd. And as of right now, we have Education Minnesota negotiations in July set for the 23rd and the 25th. And I think we have two other dates in August. I hope I'm not forgetting anything. Waste management, bulk grant update. I was not successful in getting the waste management committee together in June. But we did get some information that Cindy and Jackie got, and it's in your pile. Some information regarding some possible costs and some issues with the bulk milk versus what we're doing currently. I also got an extra quote from, what's this company here? Cass Clay. And it sounds like they don't even wanna do anything with the bulk milk. Which one of them said, talked about, doing the recycling of the actual cartons? Dean's Foods, okay. So this is the information I have that I'm sharing. Is this something that should go to that, waste management committee for more discussion and bring back a recommendation? We should probably get our milk bid by September.
Yeah, that'd be great.
No?
You know, it's substantially more costly.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't get that.
I was really surprised at that.
Why is that?
I suppose it's
I think
delivery
it has
and-
more to do with production, I would think, because they're more set up for the cartons, where you have to set up for the bulk, and it's a whole different setup with the plant. I would assume that's.
I was really surprised. I mean, $150 a week is substantial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Statement worthy.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like we're willing to pay more to recycle less, or,
Right.
Well, it's kind of like, is it, what's so expensive for us to recycle here? We have to haul it so far.
Plastic.
Plastic.
Yeah.
You know? That's a cost prohibitive for us in this area because of the logistics.
So,
So I'm looking for direction. Do we take this to the committee and have the discussion, or otherwise we need to probably bring something to the board for action in July as far as a milk bid?
when are we gonna have a waste committee?
I don't know.
Okay,
That's the challenge. In July, so we'll go to 22nd.
It seems to me a little, kind of a quick turnaround to be doing this for this year. It's- You gotta get everybody on board, the students need to be it needs to be ingrained, it can't be just
Okay.
So, but it's not something that we have to like completely forget about either.
What do you think about taking it to the waste committee, but let's go ahead and do cartons for this year? Cause then you can get your bid in and everything else, and we'll still be looking at it.
Do some planning a little bit.
Sound good?
But if we don't come back
Yeah.
until August or September, it's a lot easier to get people into the building in September or August.
For the waste committee?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, cause
especially
we,
if you have students on the
yeah.
committee.
Yeah.
we're not looking at doing it, like you said, this year. I think that's wise.
Yeah.
Just do the carton bid and we'll look closer at it. But yeah, on the surface, as I think the one pointed out, it's plastic and cartons, and maybe if we can recycle the cartons, then that would satisfy
Looking
what the
back
students were
a little
ultimately
bit.
trying to do.
Cause they are paper cartons, right?
Yes,
That
they're
we're using.
recyclable.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
quite a video on that, on recycling paper cartons and the efforts in Minnesota and stuff, so, I mean, it's not that it can't be done, but maybe it's hard for us, I don't know.
What Dean Food said is that if we're looking at a recycling standpoint, it makes more sense to continue to use the cartons, because to recycle the poly bag that the milk comes in, we'd be defeating the whole purpose of recycling. So,
So we'll, bring the original milk bid back on July, and then we'll schedule the waste committee to get this information
And look at the
Look at
carton
it and-
recycling and,
Look at,
and see what we can do
different
for the
angles.
following year. And if it's recycling what we have, then that's something we can implement that
right.
this coming school year.
Might give the kids a chance to contact the milk distributors and just tell them what's going on and why we're even considering the change, as opposed to, you know, maybe they sort of work their way into it as well. So it's not so cost prohibitive. That's a lot, $150 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, whew, it adds up quick.
Yeah.
So that's all I have.
And that's just the milk.
Yep. That's all I have unless there's questions. July 5th, Friday, I think the office will be closed, or I might be the only one here, so. Just so you know.
It's pretty quiet around town on July 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be here, but I'm probably not the most helpful person. I need something important, so.
Okay. If Mr. Nelson's finished, we'll move on to the business office. Crystal Olson.
Just as Robin had mentioned, we're gonna get ready to start doing the closeout for fiscal year 19, planning our audit in September. So we'll work with Region 1 as far as doing our closeout items that we can do. Some of the journal entries, we have to wait until the auditors come in September. And then we're approving our budget tonight. So for fiscal year 20, so as of right now, we're anticipating a deficit of $49,325 for next year. Some of that deficit may be offset by some reserve funds, but overall, we are overspending for fiscal year 20. You guys have any questions on any of that?
As long as it's done with a method and a purpose.
Yeah. I mean, is that,
So basically, you also have a 5-year capital outlay plan in there that we are approving for next year and then the next 5 years, and that'll come every year. We're gonna just, it'll be flexible, it'll change depending upon the needs of the district at the time. So for example, we're spending $102,248 on capital items for next year. We have a separate reserved fund that does have money sitting there that can utilize some of this. But that won't always be there if we continue to spend it down. So we need to eventually get to the point where hopefully we're not deficit spending, but
I have a question. You had, I just remember reading about some of the capital items that there wasn't firm bids or whatever for them yet, and that was for the 2020 capital items, right?
2020, everything, so
Was
for fiscal
everything?
year 20, all of the items that are listed in there have, those are actual prices.
Okay, perfect.
Yes,
Okay.
so that is the actual prices of all those items.
Okay, it's just out further than
Yes,
that.
out
Okay,
further, those are
perfect.
just estimates of what it.
I couldn't remember
Yes.
that date. Thank you, Crystal.
Yep. Otherwise, do you guys have any other questions as far as the 5-year capital outlay plan that was in there, or for our fiscal year 20 budget?
Any idea what we budgeted for the shortfall for this past year when we originally came to this table, same time last year, 12 months ago?
Well, originally, when we did the FY19 budget, we were balanced. And then, over the course of this year, we added some capital, a lot of it was capital expenditures that we weren't anticipating but needed to get done.
Right.
Now I don't remember for sure where we're at, like 78,000 for this
78, I
year?
think.
It says 78 for this year. I understand that almost coincides perfectly with the extra lighting situation, for
Right,
instance.
right, yes.
So pretty much right on target.
Yes,
Nice to be able to say that happened. So
Yes.
if we go in saying we're gonna spend $50,000, maybe that's a realistic number.
right.
Okay.
And we're anticipating most of that deficit can be used with reserve funds.
Yes.
So our undesignated fund balance should stay the same
Or close to.
or close to it.
I won't say
Anticipating.
exactly the same, but
It's-
unassigned should
Yep.
not see too much of a hit or anything of that, so. Alright, that's all I have. If you have any questions, any other ones?
Okay, moving on to the high school principal, Brian Novak.
In front of you, I have this is a very draft schedule. It's, I do not have any numbers with it as of right now. But we are still in the process of hiring the FIAD health teacher and hiring social studies. And not so much for FIAD health, that schedule is set, but depends upon the experience of that social studies teacher and what classes they have taught. The social studies department and I will work together on which classes would be a better fit for the new hire. So as of right now, this schedule, the number of classes will remain the same. Where those classes go as of right now, probably will change. On the bottom, I have put down new welding. If we were to go with welding, as far as the board approves it tonight, I'm sure that would be either a first hour welding class or a last hour welding class. Depends upon who teaches it and when they can get away, and as far as doing our local hire. And bringing in welding, I have about 16 students that are very interested in welding. So bringing in welding will, of course, take out numbers of students in other classes. And so the schedule might even change a little bit more based upon the want and need. So the small school, having the popular class, and we're bringing back psychology this next year. We did not offer it this year. That will also determine the schedule too. So what I promise you, Board of Education, is you will have numbers for next month. And Mr. Superintendent will have numbers in about 2 weeks. After we're done with all hires and I play with the schedule and move things around and we get it to work. As best as I can. Questions?
So I take it from what you're saying, we're looking at actually having the classes this year. Is that right?
That's what I'm looking at, yep.
Okay, just wanted to verify.
Yep, so the next sheet of paper I gave to the Board of Education is just kind of wants and needs, looking at, once again, the approximate budget needs for 1920. Through 2 price quotes from Bemidji Welders and Prax Air, and this is kind of how ironic this works. I got the Bemidji Welders Supply Company price quote with all the basic things that we need, all of the different supplies, the wire, all of that stuff. And then I took the prices off and I sent it over to Prax Air, and basically the items were almost identical. The prices were within basically $1,000. So we are looking at between $28,000 and $3,000, which includes, in Rideau like this, which includes tank leases. So we're looking at 5-year tank leases that will, so the tanks, the supplies, all the welders, everything comes to about $30,000. Updated electrical and exhaust. I kind of gave you an update last month that it's a lot better than what we thought it was going to be. We're still waiting for price quotes from Bemidji Stainless Steel. Is that what it's called?
Peterson Sheet Metal.
Sheet Metal. And so we're looking at anywhere roughly, and I put high-end amounts. It could be 7,000 to 8,000. It could be 9, but 10 would be about the most of it. Staffing in welding, staffing the welding classroom. We're looking at 1 hour a day welding teacher will be needed. We're looking at a 1.25 contracted employee for each hour. For 1 hour, they get a quarter hour of prep. So that's where that 0.25 comes in. And Crystal, I just estimated at 12.5 for a 1.25. I think that's the high end.
Yeah,
Because we were actually talking 2 to 3 hours.
Yep.
So it could be less than that. It could be 8, it could be 10,000. So what am I doing? I am building support for additional vocational programming at Lakewood School. As of right now, secured sources of funding. We received a $10,000 donated check from Lakewoods County, and we received $10,000 from the Northwest Minnesota Foundation. So that's $20,000 that we have secured here. Other possible sources of funding through letters and contacts. I've contacted a variety of people through the Northwest Minnesota Manufacturers Association. Their next meeting is August 3rd, so I will be attending that meeting and discussing the items with them. Senex Co-op, I actually have a meeting with Kent Hansen tomorrow morning. They have possibly some matching funds. I chatted with Brian Paul over at Wabonica Inc. And I've chatted with the HR person at Polaris Industries, and I'm going to be going over to Roseau and meeting them and talking about our program, where it's at, where it's going to go. They're very, very excited that we could be providing some welders through the streamline for them. And when we talk about possible sources of funding, it's not always just cash. It could be in kind. It could be metal. It could be scrap metal. All the different things that we would need for the welding department, anyways. The bits and pieces and all those different things. So I've secured $20,000 so far, and I'm going to get you more. What I need from the Board of Education is just your approval so we can hire, we can go through local newspapers and start going through the hiring process with the advertising for a 1.25 contracted employee. And the wall is, next month I'll take you through the welding department where it's at, and when we get this all set up, you will be impressed with what we have back there. Questions?
So the 16 students, last one you had mentioned was 10 students, now we're up to 16. I guess,
That's based upon.
what grades?
We're looking at 11 and 12.
Okay. And there's probably, what, about 25 or 30 in each class? So you're looking at approximately 25%?
There's 41 in this year's senior class.
Okay. So, I don't know, it sounds like 16 might be optimistic, don't you think?
Well,
How many do you think are actually gonna be able to take the class?
I would be safe to say 12 to 14.
With the way the schedule works out and everything.
Yep.
What,
But you have to realize high school seniors are finicky. And when you, for example, right now I've got a lot of I got students like that are looking at taking psychology. We offer welding, and we don't have a lot of electives in the afternoon.
Mhm.
And if we take, and those are students that have already taken the ACE classes, they've taken IED, they've taken digital electronics, and they're looking for something else. If they have a choice to take welding over a psychology, some of them might bail out of psychology and take welding instead. Because we're not offering lifetime sports this year either. So I have about 16 students that were in lifetime sports. And if those 16 are very interested, and most of them are, that I've already chatted with before the end of the school year, okay, that means we'll just move things around to get them fit into that class. So 16, yeah, it's kind of a pipe dream, but I'm thinking more of 12 to 14.
okay. Do we have a number, how many do you need to have the class go? What's the minimum?
For a 1.25 employee to get welding going at the school, after the community donated $20,000, I'd say 5 to 6 people. I would say let's get this up and running.
So if there's less than 5 to 6 that would actually be signed up, what would we do?
Well, we have offered classes of 5 before.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember the last class we didn't offer because of low numbers. French,
But
way back.
you know, but the problem is you can say, as of right, like maybe 2 weeks before the school year begins, we have 6 or 7 students. Then once that first week of school, Mr. Nelson knows is how schedules change and students drop things and move around. And all of a sudden you're looking from a class of 5, it's up to a class of 10 to 11. Things change in a hurry.
And it can go the other way too.
And it can go the other way
So
too.
it's hard once you get your preliminary enrollment and you set the schedule, and there comes a point where you have to have the class and the teacher ready before the school year starts. So you can sit in August and say, we got 9 kids in that class, and then by October 1, you have 4 kids in that class, and then you're kind of stuck with it.
I'd like to believe that if we're talking already 50% basically of the funding in place, and that we could mitigate it a little more even, with hopefully a few more contributions, get something going. But I agree with you, Brian, that I'd like to see it. We've been asked to start preparing this stuff by the community. If we can do it at a reasonable cost, like we're talking about, let's get it done and just see what happens at the end of year 1, and then, cut our losses or, change something or do something different with it. But I think we just have to get our foot in that door for the moment, and not look at it, because we can get outside funding on this. Maybe we just have to work harder at that, maybe we have to go bug more people and see if we can't make some money on it, if it's gonna be that cost prohibitive.
And we have the certified Northwest Tech dollars still budgeted, correct?
Yes,
So that was like 15.
around 12,000, I believe.
12,000.
And then we do have 10,000 in the capital outlay plan reserved towards.
Oh, you're not supposed to.
Oh,
I heard
So,
that.
And some of these
I heard
are
that.
long-term costs,
So,
opportunity
the
costs,
salary is gonna.
that we've done the initial
be
purchase so
covered
that it
because
has,
we're not
it's
sending
gonna
it down
lessen
Northwest.
as time goes
We
on. I
would
just
not
think we have
see
to
that.
get in, hopefully we can get enough.
Is it possible to use this program equipment for other uses within the community?
Yes.
Community ed, after school, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
That is something, I can't think of her first name is Beth. She is a new HR person in Roseville. One of the things that I was talking to her about was doing the community ed aspect as far as one of their trainers being able to come over here roughly 4:30, 5 o'clock and offer a community ed class for anybody who is interested in a career change, that would be able to get trained here in some of our different equipment. One of the biggest things that's happening over there now is robotic welding. And this weekend, went to an art fair in Bemidji, really cool, someplace in Petoskey. And I started talking to a guy that owns a company called Cut Creations. He's out of Boston. And he just went full-time on plasma cutting. And that's something that he said, you know what, I would love to come to your school and I would love to teach your students on how to do artistic plasma cutting. That's another element that we add into our art department. That's another element that, when you get into plasma cutting, you just, I'm really excited about this, and I think we need to, and I've always looked at this as the field of dreams approach. Build it, and they will come. We're building it. The community is excited about it. Talking to Polaris, talking to Mark Carl over at KMS Industries, they just bought Heatmore and War Road. He's talking to me about welders and the need for welders, and
We're also looking at ag to school grants. We talked about looking into that. And it's part of our strategic plan. When you look through there, I think this fits into that a little bit. But we have to move forward cautiously, because when we're adding things and adding costs, we're already deficit spending. So you either have to increase your revenue or reduce your expenses when that happens. So, and I think for this next year, we're not increasing our deficit because we've budgeted for it on a limited basis. But we're gonna have to be creative so it's not something that we can't sustain, because when people donate $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 to buy the equipment, you want to be able to keep the program going in some fashion so it's not a waste of their donations. So
a lot of what the costs that you guys are talking about, this is a one-time cost. Once we put the hoods and once we put a lot of that stuff in there, if you were going in next year looking at it, if you were doing an hour or 2 hours, you're looking at a minimal amount compared to what we're looking at right now. It's an investment.
And the appropriate time is correct, because we have one of our smaller class sizes that's just graduated, and we've got quite a few students that are, right now our class sizes, right now our smallest class sizes in 4th grade, but 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, they're all right now 35 to 40. So we're gonna have students coming through looking for electives.
So do we have any plans for integrating this into the lower, like 7th, 8th, 9th grade, anything like that? Or are we just gonna strictly look at 11th and 12th grade?
For right now, I think we should strictly look at 11th and 12th, get the room up and running, get the curriculum set, look at, because this year we offer welding 101. Next year we offer welding 1 and 2.
So then our teaching staff expense would actually go up to about $30,000 the following year, correct? Roughly.
Not unless it's the same person, that you go from 1 hour to 2 hours.
It would still increase that cost.
Yeah, so
You would, it'd be 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
Right. That would double that cost,
I'm
wouldn't it?
for 8.
Thereabouts, I
Yeah.
would think, so. Okay, so now, looking forward, you're looking at roughly well, the second year, the plan sounds like it would be a $30,000 a year position. And don't get me wrong, I'm not opposed to this. I don't know, it's just, I'm leery about how fast we're moving with it. And the methodology and some of the other stuff. So, yeah, at least in my opinion, let's get, what are the criteria? If we have, what do we say, 5 students or less? If we're below 5 students, what happens? I mean, it doesn't have to be right now either. It's like, let's just define some things and figure out how we're doing it, because I just don't want to get into this, spend a whole lot of money, other people's money, and then discover that the interest isn't there. I really hope that you have the 12 kids or even 16 kids and it's fantastic and it goes and everything else. But we have to also look at what happens if we don't. I mean, you're talking about a large outlay. So.
Well, and I guess in relationship to the strategic planning process, some of the things that we discussed were that we need to start moving in a vocational direction a little bit more. And I think that has to be considered as a responsibility of the board, that we need to make some move in that direction. I'm not saying it's welding, I'm just saying we have a responsibility to respond to that as well. Both the students and the public, felt like that was a direction that we should move.
I guess that's why we're focusing on welding, and there is demand for it, and it's a good, well-paying job. I don't know if you guys have ever welded. There's a reason why it's a well-paying job. I guess in my mind, let's expand besides just welding. I mean, can you get small engines? I don't know if it's feasible or just something, make it an industrial arts type thing rather than strictly welding, so that I want high school kids to get a chance to see everything. I don't expect them to come out as an expert welder. I mean, I don't think that's the place for the high school. Same way I don't expect the AutoCAD, the CAD drafting. We're not turning out certified CAD draftsmen. We're not turning out surveyors. We're not turning out anything else. Let's give the kids a chance to experience a whole bunch of different things. This is a step in the right direction, but I mean, I don't want to turn out experts. I want to turn out something, give the kids a chance to see everything, see more than what they're seeing now, and let them decide if that's something they want to pursue in the future. I mean, if you get a chance, give them a chance to try welding. If they like it, great. Go to a VOTEC school after high school and get your license and be a welder. I've known a couple of kids who worked for the county in the summer. They were looking at being underwater welders, and the one kid is actually down in Texas right now doing just that. So I guess that's my concern of the whole thing, is we're talking about turning out welders or almost certified welders. If I read the memo correctly, in the last 4 years, that welding program in Bemidji, and granted this is much different, it's not online, it's hands-on and everything else, but we've only had 2 kids successfully complete that course. Did I read that right?
I think it's 3, but it's a low number.
Okay, so that's where my concern comes from. I'm willing, this is a step, so I guess I'm not opposed to it, but those are my concerns.
I think you have a valid point. At the same time, this is just because they take this class, in my mind, doesn't mean that they want to go be a welder. But like all of our linemen, they all know how to weld, or at least that I'm aware of. You know what I mean? So it might not mean they're going to be a welder, but it might enhance what it is they really decide to do and give them extra experience.
Agreed. I only brought up the point about certified welders because we were looking at, there was talk of turning out certified welders by the time they finish. So
we need to have an open mind.
Yep.
I think we're getting the equipment, it'll be used one way or another, whether it's going the certified direction or if it's part of another program that's more of an exploratory type thing, and maybe it's used for the younger kids also. The egg to school program that we need to do more research on.
Well, the community ed opportunity too is
Yeah, and
worthwhile.
I mean, so I think the investment is not, I mean, Brian's done a lot of work getting the money. I mean, I think the investment in the equipment's a solid thing to do. And what it morphs into, whether it's a certified program or something a little bit different as part of a broader program, I think it's a step in the right direction. But you're right, we don't want to just have laser focus on they have to be certified, because that might not be what is needed.
My feeling is we just have to start somewhere, you know. And, I mean, we do have the room, which helps, you know.
So under the previous program through Bemidji, what,
That was an actual 2-year certification program.
Yeah.
and so what did the students that were enrolled in that, what was their day-to-day schedule? Because,
Well, they would, the online version was here at our school, and on the weekends, they would drive down to Bemidji
I mean,
and be taught
that's a huge commitment
hands-on.
for a high school student
Yeah.
to do I mean, I can understand why you only had 2 or 3 kids that would do that.
And this was at the college level.
Yeah.
I foresee this being an exploratory type thing. And eventually, we integrated into a variety of different programs. Katie Hasparton could use it for a variety of different things. Bob Lane could use it for, the integration of GTT and gateway to technology. There's so many different things that we can do with this, but we can't do anything with it if we don't get going.
What's he interested in a lower age group?
I don't know. That's,
Because when they actually used to have the low tech department, when I went to school, you started your electives in 9th grade, and it was a pile of them in welding, auto mechanics, construction training. Then you're gonna actually give them time to know, which would make the program probably look better by the number.
yeah, but we're only looking at 1 hour. I mean, we're looking at starting it off, and going that way. Eventually,
It won't get cheaper for you to put the equipment in.
No.
Next year's gonna cost more, the year after that's gonna cost more, so.
And this is brand new
What you're
equipment.
saying, you gotta start somewhere, but like I said, it might be a deal where maybe you might find a 9th grade kid that probably knows as much as someone that's been doing it for 2 years too.
Yeah.
There is still some farm kids that would be interested in getting a little more advancement. And it's not so much about sending out a certified welder, it's about getting these kids ready for life. Some of these kids aren't going to college.
Yep.
They're gonna be hands-on. Knowing a little bit about welding, they get them that job.
The truth is, most employers out there are not looking for certified welders. What they're looking for is they're looking for welders that have experience, and Polaris themselves will certify you. The company you're talking about, Lloyd, this underground water, most employers do the certification because there isn't such a thing as a welding certification that covers welding. There's probably 50 certifications that cover welding. And they get certified in the area that they're going. And it's the company that hires them that's gonna certify them in that area.
For what they want them to know.
For what they want them to know. It's not, if I'm a certified welder, I can weld everything. But what Welding 101 does, it teaches them the basics of welding. And cutting and grinding and,
Which involves a lot of math.
right.
That's what I'm looking at.
it's
a
just
way of
a-
thinking. That kid can't pass a math class.
Probably.
Stick them in a welding class or a shop class where they're applying the math. They can learn the concept that way. So.
I had a lot of time, road time, talking
I was
to
just
one of those
thinking
students, and they said, I can't pass the test, but I love doing stuff with my hands, and this is an opportunity to give it to them. And I just think that them are the kids that really are going to need it, excel at it, and when this kid over here has been doing this, and this kid over here is doing this, and all of a sudden I see this kid making $75,000, and I'm still making $40,000, maybe, as Brian said, we can use that community as a community shop and teach community classes.
We have guys out there in the ice drilling holes for $150 a day. You know what, if I can go weld for $250 a day and work inside, I'll take that class. You know, I see this as a community thing. I don't see it so much as just a few kids in class here. I seen when we used to have welding right here in town, Roger Krause taught it. When Roger Krause taught it, there was a lot of community members that came in there. You know, if we had something at home that needed fixed, we fixed it.
I took that class with Roger Krause.
Yeah, I did too. You know, in them vocational classes were the best thing we could have possibly done. We learned to build houses, we learned to weld, we learned how to fix stuff.
And I agree. And I mean, everyone seems to be misunderstand that I'm totally opposed to this. I'm not opposed to this. Where I'm concerned is we're focusing on welding because that's what we're doing. We're focusing on welding right now, and we're not looking at the other vocational portions of it. That's my only point. So.
I get that. I get that. Shop was my favorite teacher.
Okay.
I do the heck with welding, but I built my own house. Because that was another vocation. You know, it's an introduction to the vocational class. What it is.
Next month I'll bring you about thoughts on the culinary.
I'm like, plumbing class.
No, just kidding.
You know, try to get a plumber these days, you're gonna wait 2 months.
Electricians.
Carpenters, they're all.
I think it is a gateway to other stuff too. You know, I do think that we get this, if we can make this work, we can make other stuff work. You know, we'll figure it out as we go, but.
I have to go into what we call 5-minute math.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That'll show
I understand what you're saying,
students
because I think I'm on the same page as you are, but I just think we're at
That's
that
what
point,
it's all
we just have
about.
to, all right, let's try it,
That's
see
how
what
it's
happens. I mean, we can't be afraid to fail. I know that sounds easy.
What is the, yeah. Okay. Any more thing about anyone else about welding? Moving on. You got 2 other items.
What's that?
You have 2 other items.
Probably one.
He did one already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Social studies FIAD,
What's that?
social studies FIAD position.
Yeah, we're in the process. We started interviewing today. We'll complete our interviews tomorrow for social studies and physical education and health.
How many you got for applicants?
3, 5 in health, and
Nice,
we are interviewing 4 social studies.
They had 6 applicants.
nice.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? Anything else for Mr. Novak? All right.
Don't see Chad.
Chad's not here tonight,
Jumping over Chad.
so the fees will be, he'll come back in July.
I hope so.
We'll schedule him to be here in July, to go over his proposal for, some changes with athletic fees, and he'll give a coaching update at that time.
Can, and maybe he'll do this, but when he does the proposed increases, can you provide like what it currently is now? So
Okay.
we can see the current and
Oh, yeah, good idea.
proposed change.
So you want the current fees?
Or however it's, yeah, however these would affect current.
No, and
Yeah.
So is each sport, like if varsity basketball, I've paid that before, but I don't know how much it is it 125 or 150? It's just
One of the
going
two,
up by
yeah.
$5? And if like JV, or not JV, like elementary volleyball, or not elementary, junior high, thank you, is 75, it'll just go up to 80? That's my understanding, okay.
Probably the only ones
I don't know.
that are gonna be of any real question I could see would be the seasonal family, eliminating that, and then the family max. I forget what they are and stuff. I'd rather wait for him to
Okay.
give a report on it, give
Yep.
the full thing on it and the
Canadian
method.
stuff.
So is there no Canadian family max right now?
No, And we're getting enough participation. That was the discussion we had, that was trying to make sure that we just weren't gouging those families as well. You know, there was a participatory thing, but some of those families have 3 kids in 2 different sports, and all of a sudden it's a fairly hefty number. And our sports programs are certainly enhanced by having Canadian kids on
Oh, absolutely.
the field or whatever.
Okay, so we'll hear from Chad Hazelton later on. We'll move on to buildings and grounds. Reed McFarland.
Okay, for facilities, we started sanding the gym floor down. We'll be putting the finish on it tomorrow. Next year, we'll be taking the finish completely off. Anywhere between 10 and 15 years, it has to be resanded down, because what happens is the base layer of the finish starts popping loose from the wood. And that has started. It started last year. It's not too bad yet, but next year it's gonna have to come off because it's starting to let loose all over. And if you look at the wood, and mostly where it's heavy traffic, where you're walking in and stuff, you'll see a little white stuff in it. It looks like salt. Really what it is, it's an air gap between the finish and the wood. So that's a project that's gonna be about $35,000. Chris just got that in the budget.
How long did the floor last, just out of curiosity? I mean, is it original or?
A floor you can get 3 to 4 sandings on, and you should finish them, resand them every 10 to 15 years, depending on the use and stuff. So, you know, you're looking at, you got four finishes on it, and they say average 12 years. You know, you're looking at 48 years, 50 years for a floor, and then they have to go in and re-wood it, tear it out.
Or is this performing as expected then,
Yeah.
or?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we're at 14 years on this, the last finish, so.
Okay.
The first finish came a little early. There was a water leak in there, and it beveled the floor, so we had to go in and do it early. That's the reason we're sitting at 28 years with our building. So this is the second time, so we're doing as well as can be expected. Cleaning lockers and classrooms come along well. Most of the exhaust fans have been gone through for the year for their annual maintenance. The elementary hallway's been refinished. Electric pump was here today. We do once a year they go through and they pull out our pond pumps and look at them and make sure everything's greased up, going good and stuff. And they pull our pumps out here for the sewage pumps also. They cut all the sewer rats and underwear and everything else that gets shoved down the toilets that aren't supposed to, but otherwise it gets stuck in if when the pump quits. And at the time it shuts off, at the same time it grabs a hard fiber, then the next time it goes to start, it jams it and then burn them out. And
They're really expensive pumps too, right?
very expensive, so
Yeah.
we clean them. The lift pumps twice a year, the pond pumps once a year. But the report from them today when they left at 4:30 was that everything was really good. Tomorrow, Jeff and I'll be leaving at 6 o'clock in the morning. We'll be heading down to workshop with Thiefler regarding long-term facility maintenance funding. We'll be fertilizing and doing the weed kill out here on Thursday morning and starting at 5 a.m. Thursday, we also will be starting the renovation of the playground, remove all of the chips and putting new drain tile and fabric underneath it. It's expected to be done July 3rd. They're gonna be working over the weekend. So they finished it up. July 4th, or the week of July 4th, Peterson's will be in here. We're gonna be going through and looking at all of our heating pipes in here. As the building ages, it's 28 years old, like I said. We get more and more leaks in the building, and it's not through the roof, it's the expansion of the hot water pipes, one end of the building to the other. Every time you turn them down in the summer, they contract, and every time you turn them up, and at the end of each pipe, there's a rubber seal, and they keep sliding in that seal, and they've been doing it for 28 years. And one of the things when they built the building here is they never put any valves in it. So in order to repair a leak, you drain the whole system. So what we're looking at is trying to figure out a way of putting, 4 to 6 valves in it so we can wing it off so we can just drain one section at a time if we have to. Right now it would be a real mess if we had to. So it's something that we want to do for future maintenance. And as the building ages, it's going to start getting more and more leaks. It's just nature of the beast. In the month of July, we'll be redoing the venting, the exhaust ventilation in the pool chemical room. That was something that we had budgeted for. If the welding is the shop, if the welding is the go, we'll get all the hoods and stuff, try to get them done in July and August in there. We have renovated as far as we can in there until we get the go or no on as far as put hoods and stuff in there, but it's cleaned up, ready to go. Been prepped. In the board packet, you've got an updated 2-year contract from Paul Bunyan. It shows a 5% increase. I talked to Leslie down in Paul Bunyan Transit. She was good with 5% increase over the next 2 years for the rental of the bus garage for that one stall. The new windows have been installed in the pool. If you go by, you'll notice all them old stained windows in the bottom that were all fogged up. They're all looking, it looks really nice now if you go by there. We'll be replacing all the broken glass in this greenhouse out here off the science room. This last winter we lost a lot of glass in there. I think it was snow load and glass gets old and brittle, and it's just a shifting of the building and stuff. There's 22 pieces of glass in there that need to be replaced. Hopefully that'll be done this month when I get the PO. 6,000.
6?
Sign at the entrance. I called the state today and talked to them, and I've talked to the arena too. They're supposed to be up, I think July 7th. They're going to come up there and they're going to mark out as to what the setback has to be. It's going to change because there's a because of that one turn lane. There may be 100-foot setback from the center line there, and it could be 75 on the other side. But they're going to come out there and they're going to say this is the closest you can come, and then if we could get the Buildings and Ground Committee or Arena Committee or the Joint Committee or something to go down there and say, you know what, we can accept this, we can't accept that. I think either way you look at it, you're probably going to end up having to remove 3 trees down there. It doesn't make any difference if you put it 100 foot back on the west side of the driveway. You're just putting it further back, so the same trees are probably going to have to be removed. The one's kind of a scrubby looking pine right on the corner, and then there's 2 more that are closest to the highway, but it would give you a nice view when you're coming down to be able to read it. So when after the state gets that marked out for us and lets us know where that should be, we should get a committee together, go down and look at it, and at the same time we should look at them other signs down there and make a recommendation to the board or whatever. As Jeff and I were looking at the big sign down there, the K-12s, I mean, you can take your hand and poke right through it right now if the paint is holding the wood together. I mean, it needs to be replaced.
That's the one closest to the
Right.
road. Yeah.
Right. And it looks pretty tacky down there, and if you look at the signs, they're kitty-quackus and this way and that way. And, we need to have a committee and discuss it, but I'd like to see us get rid of all it. If we get that other big sign down there, it's gonna be very distracting to the other signs. It's gonna make them look pretty crappy. Excuse my French. Happy. That big welcome to Bear Country, maybe we'll put that at the end of the bus garage, so when people drive in there, everybody that comes to our school sees welcome to Bear Country on the end of the bus garage. You don't have to mow around it, you don't have to try to keep it straight, it's there permanently, it's a good picture. That sign that we can poke our hand through, that should probably be removed. You know, and then we got one other cockeyed sign down there, and, you know, maybe we should look at putting, I think Brian mentioned a long time ago about maybe putting little flags on our light posts or something like that, and we could put a little banner on them, you know, saying what year we won a volleyball tournament or whatever, and clean it up down there so it looks nice, so we have a nice entrance down there. But that's something like, as soon as we get the location decided for the sign, that's something that maybe the Buildings Ground Committee can all look at together.
You know, maybe one of the things you should do is look at what the cost would be to get those banners on the light poles coming in. Because I imagine there's some hardware and stuff you have to
Sure.
purchase, but that would be a really good idea for some of that stuff. You know, because then you could add, or
You could add and you could change it.
Yeah.
You could keep it up to date so
Yeah.
people can see the current achievements of the school. So July 1st, I'm going to start working with Seth in facilities and Brent in transportation. I have a pretty good aggressive training schedule for them because they've got a lot to learn in the next 3-4 months. But I have it kind of laid out. So after the next board meeting, they'll be giving you the update. And I'll be here, but it's going to be kind of in their pad. And as far as that goes, that's it there. Transportation, our annual DOT inspection on all our buses and type 3 vehicles and stuff, trailers and stuff, is July 15th. So we have about 2 weeks, and that'll be taking place. I'm going to be working with Brent as putting everything together for those on the transportation committee. I'm going to have him I'm going to help him do the transportation report that will be getting the transportation committee together. He'll do that report, but I want to show him how to gather all that information and do that. That'll be, because we usually do that the third week of July. So that'll be another one of his projects. Any questions? Summertime's around. I was talking to the guy out of the electric pump today. He says, well, you guys kind of just shut down for the summer then? No.
All right, anything else for Mr. McFarland? We'll move along, community ed, Brent Cole.
He's at
Yeah, he's at baseball. I'm doing his report.
Okay,
I told him since he wasn't here last time, it looks pretty bad, so I made him give me at least something. In your packet, you'll find the community ed report. We have 10 registered for the weight room. The travel baseball has 43, travel softball has 19, and t-ball has 56. We have the month of July left for the baseball and softball. It's been a whole lot of fun. The kids have enjoyed it. And then the summer camps, they have a volleyball camp coming in July. There was a basketball camp in June. Katie had ran a basketball camp. And then Liz is doing summer band lessons, and there's an art shop, or an art workshop with the Art Guild down in the art room, so. And that's about it. Everything's going great, he said. So.
okay. And food service. Got anything?
We had our review. This review used to be every 5 years. They've shortened it. Now they are reviewing food service department every 3 years. We usually have a year's advance notice that they're coming. And then they start asking Jackie and I our review was November 7th and 8th, and she was actually on site here. Her name was Tracy Wilcox. She was wonderful, young lady, very helpful. And our review, we had a pretty good review. I think there's copies of it in your packet. Questions? There was a few findings that were in there, nothing, there's no cost to the school. I can read the findings if you want, or read the letters, I mean, I don't know.
They basically said you're doing a great job. Okay.
Pretty much.
So,
Well, there was $44 or something like that that they found in dollars, and that's a pretty small amount.
I had a couple of clerical errors. That was my first time,
Yeah.
so my findings were stupid mistakes on my part.
Well, but I think it's good if they are helpful, and it looked like she was satisfied with what your solutions were, and.
Yeah, we're following all the rules, doing everything they want us to do.
Yeah. Yep.
She was very helpful. One of the things now that they're thinking of doing, because they're thinking going back to every 5 years, because these poor reviewers are just they can't keep up. And they've actually hired, there used to be just one, my first review, there was one lady that did it for the whole state. Now I think there's 4 or 5. So it's intense for them.
I'm hoping in July or for sure by August, we'll have information on some of our food account policies. We're looking at bringing in an angel fund. And we have a resource person that's gonna be coming in for families that go through emergencies and how we can gather some for those times to help pay for food. Also, we're looking at researching collection agencies.
Yes, I do have information.
We're getting some good information. That's probably a direction I'll be going, is recommending that we set policy on when we would turn it over to a collection agency. So that's kind of what we're working on with trying to clean up some of those unpaid balances, so. And Cece's gonna give me a list, and I'm gonna be making some phone calls this week and next week, so.
okay. Sounds like good job, food service. Anything else?
One quick statement, we had our Take a Kid Fishing event on Wednesday, once again, about 100 kids, really successful. I want to point out that just about, and that's just my personal recollection, just about 20 people from the school community were involved in that in some fashion, whether it was on shore or in a boat. Some past, some current staff members, but it doesn't work without the people in the school, so thank you for doing that.
Okay. Anybody need a break, or do you want to go right into the regular meeting? I got one vote for regular meeting. Okay, hearing no need for a break, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's all right.
Next time we'll.
I can see it.
7:17, I got the start time.
I hope Doug wasn't watching.
Sorry about that.
Okay, I need approval of the agenda with the following changes. Jeff, keep me straight in case any of this is different. Approval of we're removing number 1, the approval of the athletic fee schedule tabled until July 2019 meeting. And we are also removing the approval of the first reading of policy 506, student discipline, tabled for further review. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion with those 2 items removed.
Motion by Ellen. Ellis,
Second.
second by Lyon. Discussion? If everyone's okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have the consent agenda. It includes approval of the minutes, approval of invoices, personnel resignations and appointments. We'll accept the resignation of Michael Nordine, high school social studies teacher. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
I'll second.
second by Trask. Discussion? I'd like to thank Michael Nordine for his year here. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do we have any board presenters? Nothing. Do we have any written communications? Do we have any old business? Looks like we got some new business. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019-30 to accept a $180 donation from Wabonica Lutheran Church, the Bakeless Bake Sale, and this is for the backpack program.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
Second.
second by Lyon. Discussion? Thank you much, Wabonica Lutheran Church. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019 TAC 31 to approve all student activity funds as board controlled.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
I'll second that.
second by Ellis. Discussion?
Just a note, Crystal talked about, she had contacted the people who have the funds to see if anyone wants to transfer.
Will be.
Yeah, that was what I had to say. We'll be contacting the people to make sure that they know that they can transfer that money to the AAA booster if they would like.
Yep, and
That's
most of the athletic funds have already transferred
Yeah.
to AAA, and now we're looking at like class funds and that sort of thing.
Just thought it should be noted.
That'll make the auditors happy? Is that what, I mean, okay.
If they're happy, Crystal's happy.
Right.
So, all right, any further discussion? And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2018/2019 TAC 032, resolution adopting fiscal year 2020 budget.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
I'll make a second.
second by Sonstegard. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to approve, for approval of the 5-year capital outlay plan. I'll make the motion.
I'll
Yep.
second. Oops, go ahead, Jim.
Was there Ellis? Second by Ellis?
Second by Ellis.
Second by Ellis. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second for the approval of the long-term facilities maintenance plan, the LTFM plan.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard.
Second.
Second by Lyon. Any discussion on that? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I need a motion and a second to approve the welding program for the 2019-2020 school year.
I would make that motion.
Motion by Lyon. I'll second.
Thank you.
Second by Johnson.
You're a good man.
Any discussion? Make it work.
Yep, let's make this happen.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Need a motion and a second to approve the Valor Insurance renewal.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ellis,
I'll second.
second by Trask. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. What's the, H?
Food audit.
Skip, okay, H.
Aye.
Or I.
Food
Aye.
food audit.
Food audit, yep, okay, I need a motion and a second to accept the 2018-2019 food audit.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Sonstegard,
Second.
second by Lyon. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Letter J, I need a motion and a second to approve the 2019-2020 agreement with Thiel Photography? Thole Photography.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
Second.
second by Lyon. Discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. J, K, so now we're on K, correct? I need a motion and a second to adopt the following policies. Okay, number 1, policy 205, open meetings and closed meetings. Number 2, policy 206, public participation in school board meetings / complaints about persons at school board meetings and data privacy considerations. Number 3, policy 401, equal employment opportunity. Number 4, policy 413, harassment and violence. Number 5, policy 419, tobacco-free environment. Number 6, policy 421, gifts to employees and school board members. Number 7, policy 504, student dress and appearance. Number 8506 has been tabled. Number 9, policy 530, immunization requirements. And the last one, policy 611, homeschooling. I need a motion and a second.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
I'll second.
second by Sonstegard. Discussion?
You guys have been working hard.
Yeah, a lot going on there.
Highly recommend for entertaining reading the policy 421, gifts to employees and school board members.
Yes.
I did, I read that.
I think there's a $5 limitation. Any more discussion?
There was one in there that we've had this conversation many times in the past about the renewal of coaches' contracts and whether they're supposed to always put them out for, applications each year but according to that policy that I read, and I couldn't pinpoint which one it is, you have to alert the coach that you're not going to renew the contract. It's not so much that you have to alert everybody that there's a contract up for availability. So there is an assumption that past coaches do get grandfathered in unless they are not going to renew, which is different than we, I don't know if we'd ever actually pinpointed that. And I don't know why it was in the policy it was in. It was a sort of a data privacy policy, I think is the one that had it.
Oh, for complaints, cause you allow
Yeah,
complaints of coaches.
maybe that's where it was. That's it.
All right, we got the motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. I need a motion and a second to approve the first readings of policy 722, public data request, and policy 602, school calendar and school day.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Trask,
Second.
second by Lyon. Any discussion about these policies? First of 3 readings. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other business?
I have something, just a quick congratulations to Coach Ted Furbish and to Sydney Huffnagel for doing awesome, and Mackenzie Piper down at the Gulf State Tournament this last month.
That's right. Good
Yeah.
The team's on second. section,
section,
which was
yeah.
awesome. They got a big plaque that they're gonna bring to you to put in the trophy case. It's at the golf course.
It's at the golf course on display right now.
But huge congratulations.
Yeah, those
Awesome.
12 girls went to God off this year.
As did the coach.
And according to the parents, he has created 11 other monsters.
Yeah. Thanks, Ted.
Anything else? In that case, I adjourn the meeting at 7:29.